This is our webinar today, Leading Through Connection, the Art and Science of Business Coaching. So to give you a little overview of Smurfit Executive Development and our rankings, which we're very humbled and proud of, we're globally ranked and we're Ireland's #1 provider of executive education, according to the FT Rankings 2026. In addition, we're triple accredited through EQUIS, AACSB, and the Association of MBAs. And we have a number of global partnerships, including the Global Management Network, SEMS, and Prime, which we're also very proud of and work hard to keep those stakeholders and shareholders together. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar, and you were joined today by our faculty, Pamela Fay, Eileen Duggan, and past participant and alumni, Kevin Totterdell. So Eileen, I'll pass over to you and I'll come back in later on during the webinar.
Lovely. Thank you, James. I was going to say good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Eileen Duggan, and I am the lead tutor for this programme alongside Pamela Fay. And unfortunately, Pamela was unable to join us here. She sent on her apologies, unable to join us here for this webinar. But I'd like to welcome Kevin Totterdell, a past alumni of this programme and also our Master's Pathway. So very welcome, Kevin, along here this morning to join me for this webinar.
Eileen, thank you.
So I have been involved with this programme and the faculty since 2016, and it has been a hugely rewarding journey. I originally completed this programme here as part of my Master's Pathway a number of years back. And the experience of it had a significant impact on me, both professionally and personally. When I think back, I think of certainly the academic learning that I got from the programme, but it also provided invaluable practical experience of the coaching skill itself, along with really meaningful connections that I made along the way with my classmates, and also a very strong professional network that still to this date that I benefit from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little overview of the structure of the programme and what your journey would look like as a participant. I'll touch a little bit on what this programme distinguishes it from other programmes, and then I'd love to invite Kevin to join me. And from a past alumni, I'd love to hear, Kevin, your experience of the programme itself. And if there's any questions, that if you want to put them in the chat down below, or we're going to have a few minutes at the end of the webinar to give you the opportunity for questions and answers as well. So the programme itself, it was designed back in 2007. So it's been running for a number of years, and it still holds on to that original design that was based around 3 core competencies. Business mindedness being one, the psychological dimension of coaching being the second, and the actual practical experience of this coaching skill being the third. So they were the 3 big pillars that the coaching programme was designed. And throughout the years, we've held on to this design, but we've been continuously updating the actual content, the material itself, to ensure that it is kept up to date with the most thought leadership in the coaching field that's around here at the moment. So we're tweaking the content continuously. The programme itself is run over 6 workshops, 14 days, and it's held within a 10-month period. Each of the workshops have been designed slightly different to layer your coaching skill one step at a time. So when we think of the actual workshops, the first workshop is called Getting Started. And this is very much about, I often think, it's about giving you the scaffolding to enable you have a coaching conversation. And after workshop 1, you'll be going out and you'll be starting your coaching. Workshop 2 then is called the psychological dimension. And this is where we start focusing on skills to support you to coach at a deeper level. Workshop 3 is called Creative Approaches, and this is where we support you in working with clients with different creative approaches to enable them to access information that they may not be able to articulate easily in a conversation. So it's various different creative approaches we work with. Workshop 4 is Gestalt. And this particular program, the overall program, is based on the foundation of Gestalt. And Gestalt, the meaning is about working in the here and now, really building your awareness to support you to work in what is happening at this moment, not contemplating or worrying about the past or not focusing on the future, but staying in the present moment here in time and see what emerges with you and your coaching clients when you're working in the here and now. Workshop 5, we have been focusing on the individual and working in a one-to-one capacity, supporting you here. When we get to workshop 5, this is when we metaphorically lean back and we look at a much wider perspective. We look at coaching leaders and how they are influenced by the systems that they belong to or work in, their teams, their organizational, their culture, and how these systems have an impact on how the leaders show up. So it's again giving you a different perspective on coaching leaders. And then the last workshop is business coaching in organizations. So it's tying it all together and supporting you, enabling you to get out and feel confident in working in a business environment as a business coach. So they're the workshops. Apart from the workshops, you're going to have 6 assignments. 2 of them are going to be group and 4 of them are individual assignments. And along with the academic rigor, the focus of this particular program is very much on the practical and experiential nature of the theory of executive coaching. So we believe the best way to learn a skill is very much in doing it and the reflection of the doing. And this program is designed to give you practical hands-on experience. We will be giving you study guides in advance of each of the workshops, and this is going to support you with the learning, the reading, videos, podcasts. So when we get to the workshops themselves, there's very little PowerPoints or information that's going to be downloaded. We really work there and then in the workshop, supporting you to get the practical experience of what you've learned from the theoretical models, frameworks that we would have given you. So there also is a huge focus on being coached and coaching your participants. So every single workshop, you're divided into smaller groups and you get the opportunity. It's not role play, it's bringing real life issues. So you're getting the opportunity of you being coached by your peers and you coaching your peers. So the learning is very much about yourself as it is about the actual skill, coaching skill. There also is the requirement to complete 90 hours pro bono coaching. And a lot of people, Kevin and I were talking a little bit earlier, and he was reminding himself of the anxiety that he felt initially at the whole thought of doing the pro bono. And Kevin, I'll come to you in a minute with regard to how you got over that. But the 90 hours pro bono coaching, after workshop 1, we will get you started and support you in ways that will enable you to get out, get your coaches, and to actually start the coaching conversations. Much of the learning of this program occurs in between the workshops. And again, Kevin, I'm going to come to you on this, but each of you will be assigned into learning groups. And the purpose of these learning groups is to support you with your assignments, with your readings, with finding coaches, and just general personal support as you're going along the program. The program, so that's really what your journey would look like at a high level perspective. The program itself is accredited at the EMCC senior practitioner level, and that will enable you as an individual, if you so wish, to actually get a fast track accreditation at practitioner level. So again, this is something that you'll get at the end of the program. Just before, Kevin, I'm going to go to you. I might just touch on what I feel the program, what distinguishes this program maybe from other programs in the marketplace. And to me, there's probably two areas. The first one is working with our participants at the psychological level. And this is about supporting you to work at a deeper level with your coachees. So it's not necessarily at a transactional coaching level. This is about really getting to a next level down. And in order for you to be able to coach from that perspective, the whole journey is going to support you to become more aware of your own self-awareness, who you are as a person and how you show up as a coach. And that can be very challenging for some people. And it's also something that people are most surprised with at the end of the program, that they underestimate the impact of the learning they've got from themselves as they've gone along the program. So that to me is probably one of the things that I feel is hugely important and does distinguish us. And the second is the practical experience of the coaching skill itself. So when we think of it, coaching is a skill, and in order to really learn a skill, we need to practice it. So by the end of your diploma, you will have done 150 coaching hours, practicing coaching hours. And this is between your 90 pro bono hours and also the coaching that you're going to undertake while you're on the program. So it's a highly intensive practical experience of learning a new skill. And we really feel that this is key for you to have the confidence and the capabilities to really feel you can step in and coach at any level when you complete the program. So Kevin, I feel as if I've covered a lot there, and I'm going to take a pause and go to you. And we'd love to hear from you as you're listening to, and maybe you reminisce back on the journey that you were on. What is it that stands out for you?
It's really interesting. As I was writing down the notes of the modules, because I've forgotten what the individual modules were. I just have that overall feeling of what a fantastic journey. And I'm looking at it and going, oh yeah, I love that. Oh no, I love that. That was brilliant. And it was interesting as we go through. It is a seriously immersive experience in Smurfit, to be honest. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It's a great place, and it's more than just coaching. And I think, is it okay to talk about the participants? So what I was surprised at, I arrived and kind of in a transition in my life to decide what I wanted to do next, kind of thing. And I thought I'd be a coach because I came from a leadership area, and I thought that'd be great. But when I actually arrived in the program, what surprised me was the different type of people that were on the program. It wasn't actually everybody who wanted to be a commercial or executive coach in the real world as a job. It's people who are leaders. They wanted to coach as a leadership style using coaching. People who were just not sure what their future held, and they were taking the opportunity to do some self-development, because that's the big surprise for me, is this is a really big self-development program. I loved a lot. When I was just looking at the various different modules, the psychodynamic one was the one that really started to get me thinking. And I had a bit of a butterfly when you said after module one, I'd go, you'd go out and coach. And I remember that feeling of going, how can I coach? I've only done one module, but you can. It works. It's baby steps, right? And it's a brilliant experience. And everybody supporting each other in the cohort all bond very quickly, because you're all on that scary journey together. And there's a lot of camaraderie and teamwork, and it's really, really good. And I was just looking through that. The Gestalt is amazing. The systems and the leaders. That was a big one for me, because it got me to, even though I was a CEO and I was a leader most of my life, it got me to see it with a different lens and understand what other leaders, my journey is not going to be the same as everybody else's journey, and what are they experiencing as a leader. And that really was quite transformational for me in that module. I remember that. And now, by the way, just for anyone, I am actually a full-time coach. So I do coach full-time. I absolutely love it, every minute of it. And you don't need to know industries. You just need to understand yourself and understand the personal touch and the humanity of coaching, not advising, coaching. Big difference. It's a fun comment there, by the way, guys. All through the program, it's, stop giving advice. This is about coaching and understanding the other person.
So, Kevin, for you, when you think back to maybe when you were in the shoes of some of the people here on the webinar, what would be useful for you to know just in advance of the actual program itself? What would be useful reflecting back? I'm wondering about the commitment, maybe.
Yeah, there's something about the commitment and the time commitment, and it's in person, but actually the in-person piece is huge. Eileen, I was looking at a different program before I looked at UCD, but I'd already got a first master's in UCD. I did the leadership and development in finance and strategy and innovation previously. So I've been actually in UCD since 2016, like yourself, believe it or not, but as a student. So I recognized the in-person thing was really important. And then I knew about coaching because I did some leadership work before I was a coach, and I didn't like online. And I felt if I didn't want to do the work online, why would I go and study online? Because that human connection is really important. And that's the big thing with Smurfit, is those rooms. SEM2 is the big rooms you'll get to know if you're ever there. They're fantastic. And that there's nothing like being in a room with somebody. You have maybe a deep session, and then you go for a coffee and actually just talk about whatever it is that you talk about. You can't do that online. It doesn't work. So that's really big, but that does take time. The second part is the pre-readings. The pre-readings they're not light, right? There's a good bit of work in the pre-readings, but it's where the learnings are. And I remember saying to you in Smurfit that, geez, I'm reading it and I can't remember any of it. But to this day, those readings, at the right moment, my memory unlocks what that reading was about when I'm with a client and something comes up and you can remember. Sometimes you refer back, but those readings are really important. And I think not just for myself, I think you owe it to your peers to do the readings, because there's better content in the room on the day when everybody understands what's going on. We're all adults. No one's going to say, did you do the reading? But you'll know if you did or not. And the conversations will be better if everybody has. So the readings are important. Make sure you've got the time to do the readings.
Yeah.
I think when I go back, when I think of the learning groups, and I hate learning groups, but they're a really important part of the learning. And you just like suck it up, princess, as they say, you've got to get on with it because they are really important. And the vital part of it is the people. I remember being terrified. Where am I going to get pro bono coaches from, or coachees from? Because you need a number of pro bono coachees to get your 90 hours. And those 90 hours practice are really important. It's where the learning is. So it works. All I can say to you is don't worry about the pro bono coachees. Between the college, the learning groups, none of us had any difficulty in getting coachees, even though I was terrified. I was going, who am I going to get? Who's going to accept me as a new coach to coach them? It's not a problem. The groups help each other, right? And it works. So that's one thing. I think the commitment it's a good commitment, but it's hugely rewarding.
Yeah, so I think the commitment, Kevin, is something that some participants underestimate at the very beginning, and it is important. Like, I often think we all have our own rhythm in life with regard to, when is our busy time. So there's something about looking at the program and deciding how best it's going to fit for you. What we would be saying is you're probably talking about putting a day aside, 1 day a week aside, while you're on the program. Now, this would encompass the actual workshops themselves, the 90 hours pro bono coaching, the reading, the essential and recommended readings, the podcast. The learning groups meet once a week or maybe twice a month, depending on what they decide. But to me, it's important that people are aware of the commitment, but there's also something about maybe particular stages you can pull back a fraction, knowing that you can maybe front load it or back load it, depending on your own rhythm as to how work is going or life is going. But there is a commitment, because it is a skill at the end of the day. It's not just downloading information. You're actually going to take away a practical new skill that you have learned. So it's up to yourselves with regard to the commitment will equal the level of the skill you'll come out with at the end of the program.
I think it changes. I think the program definitely changed me, to be honest, Eileen. Not just professionally, and gave me the skills I need to do what I do now as a coach, but it helped my relationships with everybody, because the awareness that you gain on the program about yourself, there's a huge amount of self-work in this. There's a huge amount of reflection, and you learn about yourself. I always suffer from anxiety, and I think now I've rebottled that anxiety to understand it. And if I'm feeling anxious about something, because it matters to me, and I get to ask myself, what's this about? And that's really useful from coaching and leadership and managing people, when you can actually separate what's going on for you from what's going on from them. And that Smurfit did, like the coaching program does that. That's that self-awareness, which is where coaching is all about, or it's where it begins.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people at the end of the program, that they are surprised by the change, not necessarily professionally, but personally, just how they show up in life. They have a different approach to listening. They have a different way of connecting. They have a different way of reaching out to people. So it's not necessarily in a coaching situation that they're showing up. There's a sense that their whole impact of how they show up in the world has changed. Something has shifted while they're on the program.
Yeah, it's changed how I think about people and relationships and leadership, to be honest with you. It's really developmental. And as I said earlier, not everybody goes on to be coaches. In fact, most people go on to be leaders or a career transition or something like that. Many during the program, as they realize and they think deeply, I want to change.
Absolutely. And I think you spoke about it earlier, the sense of, as leaders, this need, traditional need for having to have the answers or having to have the knowledge. And I think with just the way the world is going, there's a real shift in not needing to have the answers. And it's about really supporting and empowering others around you to find the answers for themselves. So there's something about them holding the accountability and the responsibility of their challenges, and also their own growth and development. So as a leaders, you spoke, a lot of people, they're not necessarily looking to come out as coaches, but they're looking to expand their style or their approach to enable their teams and people around them to really develop themselves and empower others around them. So there's a lot of other,
Yeah, there's something about it, during the program, there's a lot of discomfort, if I'm honest with you. But that discomfort is growth. You know what I mean? It's in a safe space. You can have that discomfort to grow in yourself and question yourself, but in a safe space. And what that led to for me, through I've done the diploma, and I've done the advanced diploma, and I've done the team coaching, but I've got peer support through all of those programs, from that sitting in that discomfort with the peers on the program, because you develop relationships that you don't really develop outside that environment. It's really powerful doing that, the coaching each other, and then going for a coffee and forgetting what you were coaching about, but having a deeper understanding of the person. So that professional peer network is really important.
Absolutely. And
it's a big
glad you actually touched on the other two programs. So just briefly, Kevin, you spoke on there are two other coaching programs that are part of your master's pathway to an executive and business coaching. So there's the advanced program, which is a 12-day program, and this is 6 two-day modules. It's very much based on the same format as this particular program here, but it brings you to a deeper level. So again, it's the experience and practical side of the theory being applied in the classroom. It is for experienced coaches. The next one is that will be in spring 2028. And then the team coaching, which is going to be run next spring. And again, that's over 12 days, 5 modules, again, for experienced coaches. And it's focused very much on the confidence and competence of a coach to enable you to really work with a team and to work with a team and to bring a team to high performance. I'm sorry, no, my mind. It's to really work with a team and the system dynamics to support them to perform at a high level. So they're the other 2 coaching diplomas, which if you go onto the website, there are videos to give you a little bit more information with regard to them. So I'm wondering maybe if we might bring James back in, if there's any questions, James, or anything that you feel that landed with you as Kevin and I were chatting.
Yeah, it was absolutely excellent session listening here in the background. And as I was listening to you talk, I was ticking off questions that we'd had coming in for people about like the profile of attendees, about the workload. And I think particularly, Kevin, you brought to life that what was the biggest change you see in leaders as they transform through the program, because that's the in-class experience. And we did have some questions on the Q&A here as well, actually. And one is about in relation to particular types of psychometrics tools used throughout the program, and is there accreditation attached to using those tools as a result?
Yeah, so we don't actually introduce any assessment tools while we're on the program. So the focus of the program, as I said, is really in developing you as a person to develop your skills as an executive and business coach. So what we focus on is your experience and the development of you. Now, once people have completed the program, in a lot of cases they go off and they get themselves accredited in various different assessments and different tools. But the program itself, no, we don't bring any assessment tools into it. Yeah.
Would you like me to make?
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Would you like me to make one comment on that? Because this was a big part of the program when I was on it, was this question about psychometric assessments.
Yeah.
As a coach, and I'm full-time coaching, we always had this thing of, should we get psychometrically assessed? Should we do Hogan's or Insights or all the various different things? And we all thought that we need to have this, right? As a full-time coach, I don't believe that I need to be assessed in any of those. It's a very big undertaking and it's a very big cost to get assessed in any of those. And the number of times I get asked to do them is minimal. And if I do need to get something done, I can bring somebody else in who is assessed. So I think that's a down the line thing. I wouldn't focus on that. And that's from my own experience. And I'm coaching nearly 5 years now, and I still haven't been assessed because I don't feel I need it, even though I'm full-time coaching. Anyway, that's.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you so much. And then there's another question here from Mary, and it's like, one, she said it's a very helpful session, which is great. But would it be possible to give some detail on what is meant by creative approaches in workshop 3? And then in addition to that, other approaches used in addition to Gestalt or psychodynamic systems, transaction analysis approaches.
Okay, so in the creative approaches, there are various different ways that we would experiment with. Gestalt is very much with, I'm not quite sure, Mary, how much of an understanding that you have with regard to, I have a sense that you have a bit of understanding just with regard to the way the question was asked. But there are various different types of approaches. So working with different types of language, metaphors, objects, chairs, cards, pictures, drawings. So you can see here, there's an array of different ways that we would support coaches in this particular approach.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Eileen, for that. Like, I think as well, I put Annabelle's contact details in the chat, as Annabelle is the business development manager that recruits for this program, and she'd be happy to set up a side conversation with you about that to explore that deeper if you wish. I think that's kind of all the questions, because I think we covered so many there. There is one other question there just about the accreditation with EMCC and just how that works, how that process works.
Yeah, so the actual program, as I said, is credited at senior practitioner level. So once you have completed the program and graduated as a student, you already have undertaken a number of the EMCC accreditation requirements. So it will enable you to complete a very short form, we call it a fast track, after you've completed the program, which will enable you to be individually accredited once you've completed the program.
Yes, okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, so that takes place after the program.
After the program, and it's separate to the program itself. But once you've completed the program, it enables you to take that fast track application straight in for your individual accreditation.
Yeah, because obviously the 90 hours and the work that you do in the program is building towards that accreditation as well as our own UCD accreditation.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I just noticed there's one other question, James, just with regard to the intake. So there's one in autumn and one in spring that we generally run. So there's 2 intakes a year.
Yeah, and that might lead me nicely into just this piece here. I might just share my screen there now. Just bear 1 second. And I'll just share about the upcoming intakes. If I can find the slideshow. Apologies. It's not coming up for me. Apologies about this. So I'll talk through our next upcoming intakes. So we have our business and executive coaching program, which we've discussed in detail here as well. That's going to start on the 10th of November 2026. It's going to take place for 10 months, part-time, in person. It's 9 credits, ECT credits. Following on from that, then the next program in that path, that MSc coaching pathway, is our advanced coaching program. That will commence in spring 2028. It's 10 months part-time in person. It's also a level 9 qualification. And then finally, we have our team coaching, and that starts in spring 2027. The dates are just being scheduled for that at the moment. That will run for 10 months as well. It's in person, and it's also a level 9 program. And you can build the 3 programs, as Eileen alluded to earlier, into an MSc in coaching, which Kevin is alumni of. My colleague Annabelle Phelan, whose contact details I put in the chat, is the key point of contact for enrolment for all of the programs, and she'd be more than happy to chat with you separately or privately about the programs and connect you in with Eileen or any past participants if you'd have any further questions about it. I think in the interests of time and good weather, I think we've covered a lot of ground in that session. Thank you so much to Eileen and Kevin for sharing their insights and their expertise. It's really, we're very grateful for that today. And I think in the interest of time, we let people go and enjoy a sandwich, and then we'll follow up with a recording and an email as well. So thank you very much for your attendance and your time.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, James. Thanks, Eileen.
Thanks, Kathy.
Have a good day.
Kathy.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.